Good morning, welcome to BBC One this Good Friday, where Children's BBC begins with Toby Anstis in 10 minutes and goes right through till 11. Now at 7, the Breakfast News with Tanya Sillam.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock. The headlines on Good Friday, the 9th of April. 4 women, including Anne Scargill, wife of the NUM president, are staging a sit-in at a colliery on Merseyside. And a third man in 4 days has escaped from the new private prisoner escort scheme run by the security firm Group 4. 4 women, including Anne Scargill, the wife of the National Union of Mine Workers leader Arthur Scargill, are staging a protest underground at a mine on Merseyside. The demonstrators posed as teachers on a guided tour of Parkside Colliery near St Helens yesterday afternoon, then refused to leave. The mine ceased production last autumn and is scheduled to shut down as part of the government's pit closure programme.
What was thought to be a party of 14 school teachers arrived at Parkside at 5:15 yesterday afternoon for a guided tour. The party was taken underground, but when it came to the end of the visit 3 hours later, Mrs. Scargill and 3 other women refused to return to the surface. The demonstration came as a surprise to women who set up a camp 12 weeks ago in protest at plans to close Parkside. But miners applauded the underground sit-in.
I hope that this protest will achieve by your own very presence to bring to the attention of the media that we're not prepared to accept the closure of any of these pits.
Mrs. Scargill, who set up a protest camp at Markham Main Colliery in South Yorkshire, staged a similar sit-in protest there last December. The women spent the night more than 500 metres underground at the foot of number 2 shaft, with them 2 British coal officials. Negotiations have taken place, but management say the women won't be forced to leave.
Stuart Flinders reporting. The Group 4 security firm has ordered an inquiry after a third prisoner escaped from its new prison escort service. It's less than a week since the private security firm took over prison transfer duties in the East Midlands from the police. The Home Office has summoned Group 4 to a meeting next week. Adam Minot reports.
For the third time in 4 days, a prisoner escaped the clutches of Group 4 security guards. A 20-year-old man was being driven from Derby Magistrates Court to a remand centre in Leicester when he kicked open the doors of the van and ran away. Group 4 have been running Europe's first privatised prison escort service in the East Midlands and Humberside since Monday. Earlier this week, the company's director, Michael Hurst, had to appear before a judge at Nottingham Crown Court to explain why prisoners had been arriving at court hours late. The Home Office and Prison Service have summoned officials of the firm to meetings in London next week to explain why the service has gone so badly wrong. Group 4 have announced that they're conducting their own inquiries into the 3 escapes.
In Los Angeles, the defence in the Rodney King case will finish its summing up today. It's the second trial of 4 police officers seen beating Mr. King on video when they arrested him in 1991. Their acquittal last year was followed by riots in which 53 people died. They're now accused of violating Mr. King's civil rights. Our Chief North America correspondent Gavin Essler reports.
In their closing arguments, federal prosecutors said everything about the police defendant's case was based on exaggerations, concealment and deceptions. The prosecution said the notorious video of the beating was the key to the case and asked the jury, is this the way you want police to behave? Rodney King may have a criminal past, but he was scared and was not a Hulk or the Tasmanian devil the police claimed him to be. Each of the officers played a role, prosecutors said. Sergeant Kuhn gave the orders. Officer Briceño stepped on Mr. King. Officer Powell beat him repeatedly. It should have been obvious King was not a threat. But the defense stuck to its case that Mr. King appeared high on drugs, resisted arrest, and the force used was within policy guidelines.
If Mr. King acted responsibly, then Stacey Kuhn never would have met Rodney King. This case never would have arisen, and there never would have been the madness that descended on L.A. in late April of 1992.
Throughout this trial, there have been 2 portraits of Rodney King. One, a drug-crazed and violent villain, the other a victim of police brutality. The jury is expected to begin its deliberations later today or possibly tomorrow. Gavin Essler, BBC News, Los Angeles, California.
The leader of the Bosnian Serbs, Radovan Karadzic, has accused the United Nations Protection Force of helping his enemies after Serb soldiers found ammunition hidden on a UN aid truck. Mr. Karadzic said that Bosnian Serbs had known about such help since the aid programme began, but he didn't believe UN headquarters were involved. Here, a 49-year-old man from Essex has been charged with indecent assault on a woman while practising hypnotherapy. Police are appealing to women who visited a hypnotist in the Havering area of East London to come forward to help them in their inquiries. Women who've been regularly screened for cervical cancer may not need further smear tests after the age of 50, according to research published today. The study recommends that doctors concentrate on screening younger women every 3 years instead of the current 5.
The Department of Health wants all women between the ages of 20 and 64 to have a cervical smear test every 5 years. It's a simple procedure. It can find abnormal cells that may become cancerous. Once detected, they can be treated effectively. Deaths from cervical cancer are falling as more women are screened. The researchers examined the medical records of almost 60,000 women. They found no new cases of cervical cancer in over 50s who'd had 3 clear tests. None of the women over 50 who were found to have cervical cancer had been screened properly. Abnormal smears were most common in women under 45.
It looks as if our data is replicated in other populations, that we can say to women who have reached the age of 50, you've had 3 yearly screening up until now, you do not have CIN, your chances of developing CIN now are approximately 0, so you can forget about screening as far as the cervix is concerned.
According to the research team, the effort saved by stopping at 50 could be used to screen younger women every 3 years instead of the current 5.
That's all for now. I'll be back at 8 o'clock.
Good morning. Now the headlines from the newsroom of South Today. Bruce Kent, Vice Chairman of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, will speak at a protest outside the Aldermaston Research Establishment today. Protesters will hand over a giant Easter card and a letter demanding an end to nuclear testing. They want the Berkshire site to be converted into a nuclear clean-up centre. The Sussex-based animal charity, the RSPCA, claims shoppers in the south are being misled by food labels. The organisation says a survey shows egg boxes often confuse consumers who would like to see them more clearly labelled. It urges people to write to the European Community, which has powers to insist manufacturers clearly state the method of egg production. Hampshire County Council has been asked to explain to the government why one of its departments lost nearly £1 million last year. The council's direct services organisation lost the money working as a private company on the county's roads and sewers. The loss will be borne by council taxpayers. And the Wiltshire ghost village of Imber is open to the public from today in a traditional 3-day Easter truce granted by the Army. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the military takeover of the hamlet on Salisbury Plain. Residents were ejected in 1943 to make way for D-Day exercises. Now, with many people travelling in the south over Easter, the roads, trains and airports are likely to be busy today. The AA is warning that its top trouble spot on the country's roads is likely to be on the A23 in West Sussex at Pease Pottage. Roadworks on the A31 near Ringwood and on the M3 at Basingstoke have been suspended over the holiday weekend. Delays are expected on the M20 in Kent near Maidstone and at the M25 junction with the M4 where there are long-term roadworks. Ferry companies say cross-channel routes are busy, so roads to the ports will also be affected. That's the travel time now for a look at the region's weather. Good Friday will be cloudy with outbreaks of rain becoming heavier by lunchtime, and our maximum temperatures today are 12 degrees Celsius.
A very good morning to you. It's not the best start to the Easter bank holiday I've ever seen. The rainfall radar sets the scene. This shows where it's raining at the moment. Different colours show there's some pretty heavy rain mixed in it. The rain's not quite got across to East Anglia, parts of the southeast just at the moment, but it won't be long before it does. Somewhat brighter weather is already beginning to creep into the extreme southwest. That's going to push its way across Wales, across parts of the Midlands, into central southern England, I think through the afternoon, but always a chance of 1 or 2 pretty hefty showers tucking their way in as well. In the meantime, the rain continuing to feed its way northeast. Could be a lot of heavy rain, could be up to 1 inch of rain in places, or 25 millimetres. millimetres or so. The wind's quite a feature too. These winds are getting up to 15 to 20 miles an hour, coming off the cold North Sea, so keeping this eastern coast particularly cold. Tomorrow, a different day. A lot of fog in central parts to clear away, then brighter over England and Wales. Still a chance of some rain later on, but more rain in the far north and east. And that's it. Bye-bye for now.
Are you ready? Children's BBC Breakfast Show.
Good morning. Welcome to Good Friday Breakfast here on Children's BBC. Rocking from the top of Television Centre.
Put it down and get on with it.
I'm sorry, you're right. I was just having a good... Sorry about that. Sorry, they brought this new office, a new toy to our office here. I haven't been able to put it down since. Excuse me. Loads to come this morning, including Timeless Tales. There is a mega Postman Pat special, favourite songs, but now The Woman Who Raised a Bear as a Son.
Catherine Zeta-Jones and John Cleese.
Say no more.
Splitting hairs.
Muller rice, a satisfying blend of cool, light dairy rice with a delicious serving of fruit. Eat a Muller rice and give hunger the heave-ho.
She's beautiful hair Ariel.
The most beautiful hair in the sea. Wow. Ariel's hair undersea style. Long, 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 yes, flowing free. She pixie flowers for her hair. Red-haired mermaid, undersea braid. She sparkles. Beautiful hair Ariel.
Beautiful hair Ariel. Ariel, Disney's The Little Mermaid.
How much of a blow is it to lose Carling for Harlequins?
Very much so. I mean, he's a world-class centre, but if he's injured, I mean, Harlequins have got so much strength in depth. The people coming in will certainly not let Harlequins down, but it will be a blow for Harlequins because last year's captains, Winterbottom, who would be wanting to get Harlequins really clued up in Carling, would have been one of their main men.
Yeah, Quins, as you say, always get it together for the cup matches, don't they?
They do indeed. They're a very hard side to beat in the cup, but on form, Wasps should do them. They're top of the league with Bath. They've only lost the one game to Bath this season, and Wasps at home. I think you've got to go if you're a better man for Wasps.
Yeah, OK. Well, the other semi-final is Leicester-Northampton, of course, isn't it? Boasting the two Underwood brothers. I think we've got some footage of Rory in action there. Now, of course, they're going to be an important influence on the proceedings, aren't they?
They are indeed, and if Leicester can win enough ball, as you can see with the Underwoods, they're certainly fleet-footed, and I mean, at Leicester, 18,000 crowd, it's going to be a really cracking game. Northampton will come with a big pack, looking for a lot of ball. They've got a big ball-winning size pack, but if Leicester can win enough ball to let the Underwoods off the leash, again, Leicester, I'm going to go for 2-1 wins. I think Leicester will just do them.
So, Leicester-Wasps final?
Let's hope so. It'll be a great showpiece, yeah.
And who's going to take it, and what's the score going to be?
I think at Leicester, at Twickenham, I'm going for Leicester for the Cup this year. That's my tip.
Right, OK. Well, that's from the man himself. Now, it's all very different from years gone by, isn't it, this Easter Cup clashes? I mean, in the old days, everybody used to go off on tour and have a booze up, didn't they?
That's right, down to Torquay for the weekend. 80 minutes of Mickey Mouse rugby and have a bit of fun. But now it's big stuff. Leagues, and next year, home and away league games, cup games. There's not a break, really, and what with tours and British Lions and World Cups coming up, rugby players nowadays don't get much time off, maybe a couple of weeks in May, that's it.
Still time for the old beer, though, surely, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure I keep something, especially wetting the baby's head. So.
Yes, that's right, good. OK, well, I know you had a rare relationship with referees in your time, didn't you? We've got a little story coming up here about a lad who's already taken up the whistle and notebook, and believe it or not, he's only 13.
While most sporty 13-year-olds dream of football glory at Wembley or Grand Slam heroics at Twickenham, here's one 13-year-old who's already signalled his ambitions. Peter Softly is a fully qualified ref, but barely a teenager in a hard man's game.
Some of them can't believe it, some of them have a little joke about it. Eventually, it sinks in, and I tend to get the respect that other referees do.
His penchant for rule book and whistle comes, not surprisingly, from his dad. In this Hampshire College's game, though, even John, as linesman, is taking orders from his son.
I'd like to be eventually an international referee for England, but that we'll have to wait and see, really.
Meanwhile, Peter's got plenty of time to grow into the job. Andy Stegel, GMTV Sport.
Good for the lad, eh? But, I mean, you would have had a bit of trouble getting sent off by a 13-year-old, wouldn't you?
Yeah, me and Wade Dooley, I'm sure you'd be like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if the lad's good enough, it's great to see youngsters coming on. I mean, referees get a thankless job in any sport, and we need them. And rugby again, I think he's very lucky that it's rugby's taken up, because we do respect referees more than any other sports. And if he says go back 10 yards, penalty against you, I'm afraid that's what we've got to do.
Sure.
But it's good to see youngsters coming into the sport.
You did have an interesting little relationship with referees, didn't you, in your time?
I've had my ups and downs.
There,
I've had my ups and downs. I think they bullied me rather than me, the other way around.
OK, well, let's just move on to next weekend. It's the inaugural World Cup Sevens. That's going to be some tournament, isn't it? Who are the sides to watch out for there, do you think?
Well, I think
where they make their homes. Every week, there's a Farthingwood story.
Starring me.
And lots of fun and games involving everybody's favourite TV characters.
Pop goes the weasel!
These colourful stickers and playboard are free, with issue 1 of Farthingwood Friends on sale now.
So you're Belle.
Yeah. My intimate friends call me Ding Dong.
Like to give you a clang sometime.
Welcome back to the Big Breakfast. Well, we told you on this show yesterday that it was going to be a damp bank holiday weekend, and I think this proves it is. But I was watching the show back the other day on video, and you can't tell it's raining, right? But I can assure you it's pouring down now. You can't tell on the telly that it's raining, but it is absolutely chucking it down. Anyway, the question about that, and we love it here. We're dying for you out here, and we're happy to do it for you. What did Joan's friends call her? Was the question about that clip. And Ding Dong is the answer. Another Carry On film. And the Carry On films are out on video this week, and they're all $9.99. And I did say yesterday at this point that we'd have a competition today to win all the Carry On video films ever made on video.